Hey, guys, I don't know if you listened to the Malema case and his bodyguard, right? Bodyguard about the firearm that was fired during the time when it was the fifth, like fifth ANC anniversary, fifth. Remember that not long ago they had the 10th anniversary where Malema was lifted. So ever since then, Malema has been in and out of court. The case is refusing to come to an end. And when, in court, they always say, what works is evidence, not your feelings, not how you feel. How you feel about the court proceeding, I mean, the issue presented in court is a different ballgame altogether. Why am I saying that? I'm gonna make you listen to Malema here. Hey, yeah. You see, with the rise of gaming, have you seen the equipment that gamers tends to wear? Yeah, when you look at the equipment there, you will swear that this is a real thing, a real army, and you will swear that they are carrying a real gun. And these days, some of these guns they even sound close to a real gun. So now this is Malema challenging that and saying, "Mina, I had a fake gun. That is toy, and I don't even need a license." And then I think the man came prepared to deal with the prosecutor. Yeah, I dealt with the prosecutor. Oh, don't worry. Take your tea, go to your chair, sit down, and relax. And relax. Because we're going to go through that. We're going to go through every single thing that happened there. The interesting part about everything that happened here is the battle between Malema and the prosecutor. The man was very, like the man came prepared and was very angry. At some point, the prosecutor asked, "Where was the police?" And Malema asked, "Hey, Baba, that's not my responsibility to check where were they. My responsibility is to do what they do. In fact, I'm their responsibility. It's actually the other way around. You should be asking them, where was I? Not the other way around." Hey! Yeah, the way the man answers there, yeah, it kind of inspire you to say, yeah, hey, people can talk outside, but we can also talk in this YouTube channel. If we've been able to push the channel and get to this number of subscribers, guys, I'm so impressed. This is what we also need to do. If you are not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Come on, good people, because to subscribe it is free, to like the video it is free, to comment in the comment section below it is free of charge, to click the notification bell it is free of charge, to share this video it is free of charge, to watch this video until the end it is free of charge. Also, good people, come on, to watch the ads it's free of charge, and that's how you financially contribute to this YouTube channel. Speaking about financially contribution to the channel, you can become a member of this YouTube channel from as little as 20 Rand a month. You can also use the super thanks button. In case you don't want to do that, guys, there is a way where you can use my media company banking details to donate to the channel, and you know what I'm saying, will bring you more, and also guys want to buy more equipment. So the power is in your hands. Please do the honorable thing as we proceed. All right. So Umalema, the first one, the reason I'm laughing is because the prosecutor asked Umalema, where was the police? Malema says, "Hey, Baba, you shouldn't be asking me that. Hey. I went to umsebenzi wakho lapho. You shouldn't be asking me lo msangano ongibuza wona." That is exactly what Malema was saying. Malema was simply saying, "Ungangibuzi lo mbhedo wakho wena. Laba kufanele ngabe ubuza bona ukuthi bengikuphi mina. Hi, the other way around. And you guys, maybe you think I'm joking. Take a look at what Malema answered that question here.
Why don't you just fire towards their direction if they are standing there?
It's none of your business. It's my business where I fire from. It's my event. I can even fire under the stage if you so wish. I decide how I'm going to perform it. It's none of your business. You have no business with how EFF conducts its business. As long as it's lawful and it doesn't violate any law, where do you come in? Unganap.
Mr. Malema, the only logical explanation as to why you did that is because you knew that those firearms were indeed real firearms that you've used there.
An incompetent, incoherent, inferior prosecution is what you are trying to prove here. An abuse of power. You will not win with me. This act can be performed anywhere. I can even go and perform it on the grandstand if you wish.
Then there was a question of whether or not, okay, there was a question of where Malema raised the issue of disrespect, saying, you are disrespecting me. Hey, clear court, guys, bezbuya. You want to clear court? Hey. You want to clear court? You prosecutor, guys. The prosecutor was sweating in that. The prosecutor was sweating in that court. Yeah. Looking at how Malema was answering questions, you can tell that, the man prepared for that. And he did not take his chances, but he prepared for that. It got to the point where you could look, I was looking at the prosecutor. You could see the frustration in this prosecutor. Because what Malema did, just like the EFF strategy in Parliament, sometimes they don't argue the fact, they argue the man. They deal with you emotionally. And they argue you, not the man. That is exactly, that is a similar strategy that was adopted even in today's court. Take a look at what Malema said. Here.
You brought me wrongly here. And you know that. Either you want to build your career with my name, using my name, and destroy my reputation, and destroying the future of my children and my wife. You know very well that you brought me here wrongly. Look at all the 19 statements that you have led before this court. No one can associate me with any wrongdoing. I cannot regret having done nothing wrong. I possessed a toy. It requires no license. It requires nobody's permission for me to use it at any time. Well, if that was a requirement, I would have complied with the law. Like the person you brought here of the joke, who said, this was the best team ever, the most disciplined and highly cooperative.
Mr. Malema, may I request that we maintain the mutual respect we had for one another since the beginning of this trial up to now.
What do you mean by that?
Just a request that I'm having.
What do you mean by that? You brought me here for 6 years for no issue. And that is not disrespectful. It's robust, but it's not disrespectful. I'm being honest. You have put this court in this predicament because you could have taken a decision when you took over the case. When the first prosecutor left, you could have taken over the case and made a decision on your own independently and objectively. You refused to do that. It was you in the argument of 174 who said, had you known the facts you know now about Larry Mabunda, you would have charged him. That on its own should have told you there is something wrong here. And as an objective prosecutor, declined to proceed with something that has got loopholes. I'm not being disrespectful, Your Worship. I'm being honest.
Moving right along, let's Let's proceed a bit. Malema was then challenged about what Malema calls it a failed version. There was a gun and there was people and why did you do this? The answer at Julius Malema was something else. I mean, it was something else. It was something. The way man. Okay, I'm gonna play you this video. It is so difficult to talk about this because I'm trying to show something, a certain interesting point that I noticed. But you know, the more you think of this case, Gamalema, right? The more you think of it, right? The more you think of it, it's the more you realize that, yeah. Why didn't the state bring a seasoned prosecutor in that case? I don't know about this man, but clearly the prosecutor was struggling with this case. I don't know whether there's an issue of lack of facts or it's the fact that, I don't know, but the prosecutor in this case was really struggling because the guy came prepared for him and guys, if you think I'm joking, take a look at what Malema said, speaking about a failed version. Take a look at what he said here.
I want to put it to you that that is indeed a real firearm that you are using right there, endangering the lives of those people who were standing there.
It is your failed version. Incompetent, incoherent version. With no little bit of proof. An abuse of prosecuting powers.
Being asked then about the issue of the positioning of the police, because the prosecutor then wanted to establish the positioning of the police so that he can use it now to say, will they have seen him or they did not see him? And because of that, the prosecutor then wants to elicit evidence from Malema and bring him to that to say, where was this person? Angati, you know, Mosotho Malema has got his own VIP protection that it is given by the South African Police Service. Yeah. So the prosecutor, he wants to ask that question to say, where were they when you were busy shooting? You want to guess the answer? Hey, Baba. They are here to look after me, not the other way around. You should be asking them, where was I? Not the other way around. You just failing to do your job when dismally. Today we had a court. We had a court day today. I'm telling you, it was tough. It was tough. I'm not sure whether tomorrow we are coming back, but I also don't like the fact that the case is dragging longer. We need to know what is going on, and I think also it will help Malema to know now. You know, the earlier the better. It will help him to know where is everything going. So when he was asked about the positioning of police, this is look. Didn't we talk about that? But take a look at what he said here.
He says he didn't see anything.
I can't be bothered by police. I have to deliver a 2-hour speech at that time. That's what goes through my head. My security, who does what, it is their duty. They get paid for that. I get paid for giving a speech. Let's all do our jobs. It's not my job to look at where police are and what they are doing. They will give a report if something goes wrong with that body, which they are assigned to look after. So you now want to make me a supervisor of police. I must now look after them instead of them looking after me. It's not my duty.
Okay. Now, the last part that also was of a greater interest to me. It was when Malema was talking about when the prosecutor then is trying to elicit evidence as to is trying to elicit evidence in trying to make sure that he pins Malema that when you were endangering people's life and here 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 this Malema then said brings an argument that says people must have seen if the gun that I was shooting was that type of a gun or not. Now, what I find it weird or strange talking about that is that Kanjavele, why didn't they run away when a gun was fired? Why didn't we see a reaction of some sort? It just puzzles me why there was no reaction. It just puzzled me. So the more I think about it, it's the more I kind of feel like, yeah. But what I've learned with the case of Umalema and the state, it's the fact that a case is about arguing technicalities sometimes instead of arguing what should be argued, you win the case through technicalities. That is what I've seen. Because tell me, how are you going to prove that really that was a real gun? How are you going to prove? No cartridge, nothing. How are you going to prove that that was a real gun? It's a mountain to climb, isn't it? Take a look at what Malema said. Here.
Duty is to pick up such things. Jock would have picked up that and then come for whoever has discharged a firearm inside the stadium. Because remember, they are anticipating that a political rivalry, a political opponent, whoever doesn't agree with the EFF might go and cause trouble there. And once they hear that, they're like, okay, it looks like it's happening. That's why police are there, to make sure no one commits crime on the scene. And then when you look at the video, your worship, look at the reaction of people. I come from the township where crime is very high. When there is a shooting of a gun, we never ask who shot the gun and where it came from. We all go for cover. You go down. Without, whether it's real or not, once it is not warned that a gun is good. That's why even today in the in the inauguration of the president, they had to tell the audience there's going to be 21 gun salute. Why? So people are not scared. So imagine if you shoot a gun, no one has been told a gun is being shot. There are people on the stage, no one goes for cover. There are people in front of the stage, no one goes for cover. There are people who are live streaming the event, say it never even occurred to us that there was such an activity. How on earth do people, all of them were there, not a single one of them, your worship says, at some point I felt like there was something, but I was not sure. No one says that. But I must still come and answer a question that was, a state, a case on behalf of the state, which the state failed to build. I feel like I'm guilty, and what I'm doing now is to prove my innocence. And if that is the approach, it's against the spirit and the letter of our constitution. I hope we're not there.
So the question that I still have to say it remains unanswered is, if it was you trying to prove that that was a real gun, then technically, because there was no cartridge, this gun did not kill anyone, the one that was fired on that day. How do you then prove that it was not, it was a real gun? You see, the issue, again, when you think of social media, you will think that sometimes social media can bring evidence. But here we are, and evidence brought that was recorded through a social media is now being challenged. In the absence of a cartridge, and the person who would have possibly been killed by a bullet coming from the firearm fired by Malema, there's none of these two. No one has ever issued a statement and say, my gun was used on this day to do this. None of it. How then do you prove that that was a real gun? This case is going to be, this case taught me a lot about law. That is why sometimes I will tell you a story. Ne? Somebody once, one of the legal practitioners once said this, right? And said that there was a guy in a certain community that raped a child, a young child. So the community happens to found who did that. And then the community reacted. Now, when the community reacted, they went in search of the guy. Eventually, they find the guy. After finding the guy, then the same community, they dealt with the guy big time until intervention by the police was called and they grabbed the guy. So then they go to court. The guy is supposed to now testify in court. And then he says the guy was released and the community members was angry. Why? Because when the community members were busy giving him some beatings, they unfortunately destroyed evidence in the process. That's one. Two, they burnt the house, which was also worked against the community. And then I understand when they say they destroy evidence because the guy might have done some test in his private part, but if he's seriously injured, they will use chemical to even wash his body in the look at the hospital, and those chemicals will flush the evidence. They said that guy would have been arrested. The legal practitioner says that guy would have been arrested anyway. He was analyzing the evidence. But it is the community's reaction that saved the guy. So I am saying to say, do you realize that sometimes we are not arguing whether the case or not happened, but we win a case on the basis of technicalities. And that is what I'm learning from this case. It's that on a technical point of view, how are you going to prove that that gun is a real gun? Do you rely on a sound coming from a phone? You rely on that visual coming from a phone? I'm not sure. Because in the court of law, you need to prove. You can't say, I believe that is so. You need to prove why you believe that is so. Do you think Malema will be sentenced in this case?